here this evening from all over the world. And that means that we have all made sacrifices to come here, sacrifices of our finances to pay for our transportation to come here, sacrifices of our time, which is quite possibly the most valuable resource we have in our lives in order to come here. In this band, we have quite a few members of the band who have girlfriends or have children at home, and they've been missing them because we are so far from home, as many of us here tonight are far from home. Last night at Fluff, when Strike Anywhere was playing, I was talking to two dear friends from Poland, and I was telling them about how disjointed I've been feeling, because this year, between speaking and between the band, I've only been home so far this year for 6 weeks total. And one of my friends looked at me, and he looked out and he pointed at everybody who was all around us, and he said, "This is your home. Welcome home." Our band is called Between Earth and Sky. We have often said when we've played that this next song is a song about forgetting and a song about remembering. But ultimately, even more, it's a song about the things that fill our brains on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, and minute-to-minute basis. Things that fill our brains that are really insignificant. Things that distract us. Who texted? Who am I gonna text? What am I gonna eat? What just happened down the street? Oh, wow, look at that. The things that fill our brains like white noise, filling our minds so that we can feel safe and distant from what is really there. The issue, the memory, the feeling that hurts us. And the problem in this is that sometimes we get so comfortable with the distractions that we wait too long, and opportunities to connect with people and opportunities to love people slip away because we have allowed ourselves to be distracted for so long. None of you knew one of the most beautiful women to ever live on this earth. Her name was Prem Landy. She was Sean's mother. She died a few weeks ago back home. Prem had cancer, and for 3.5 years she fought against her cancer. And as cancer slowly began to take her body and then take her mind, we gathered at the hospital where Prem was laying in bed. And at the point where she could no longer speak or no longer communicate with us, we sat around her bedside one by one, holding her hand in moments that were very, very real, unfettered, meaning not influenced by the distractions. And we spoke to her, and we told her how generous she had been in her life, and how much love she had put out in the world, and how much devotion she had put into her family, and how much sacrifice she had offered so that Sean could be who he is and do the things that he loved. And we sat there with her, holding her hand until she took her last breath and beyond. And when she took that last breath and we were sitting there, suddenly that sinking feeling that there was to be no more opportunities to tell her that we loved her and to hear back that she understood. You're so close, within reach, you're not breathing. This song is called Damnation Memoriam. Yesterday, after playing at Fluff, a number of people had a specific kind of comment about our set. We opened the next song by speaking about suicide and talking about some very personal stories from members in the band about suicide attempts. And a couple different people came up and said that this was too morbid, meaning it was too intense or too dark. And in thinking about that, I guess the response to that is that what was said from the stage was real and true. And when something is real and true, and also relates to our death or the death of someone else, it reminds each of us that we will die. It's a confrontation closer a little bit than normal with death and our potential for death. That's why it feels morbid. That's why it feels dark. That's why it feels too intense. That's why it feels too much. And our thought is that these confrontations need to happen more often, not less often. Because when we push our death away and make it something that will never happen to us, we commit a really great crime against ourselves, because our lives won't be real until the point when we start to try to realize that we won't always have this life, this passion, and this moment. But one other aspect that Happy brought up today, when I was talking to him about this, is that to talk about suicide from the stage when you have an opportunity to speak to a large number of people, in English we would say it normalizes the experience of those who might be having those feelings in the audience. And what I mean is this, is that when we think that we want to die or claim our own life or commit suicide, we often feel so guilty about that and so ashamed that we don't think we can tell anybody else about it, or else we will be judged, because how dare you think about taking away your own life. But to talk about that on stage and to admit that on stage makes those people who might be feeling that feel just a little more normal, a little more safe, so that they might come out and tell other people their feelings. That saves lives, and that is very real and very true. This song is called The Spirit Burial Ground. sound man just said something, or I'm hearing voices in my head. Did the sound man say something? All right, I'm a crazy person. Cool. I could have sworn he said, does anyone need more diesel? And I didn't know if he was referring to fuel or the clothing line, both of which are irrelevant in this moment.
It was me.
What did you say?
It was me.
It was you.
This is Eva Bo Diesel.
Oh, Eva. Oh, so that's you.
Eva Bo Diesel.
Evidently, you would do a good job impersonating a sound person.
We do need more of that. Yep, definitely.
You know, Tom, I've noticed that you are rocking the bare feet tonight as well. I like it.
Want to feel your vibes.
You know, Tom and I have been playing with bare feet. The idea being that, at least for me, I think maybe for you, maybe it's just comfortable for you, but for me, I know, playing in bare feet, it's like if we're singing songs about life and death, even that half an inch of like the synthetic rubber underneath my feet when we're playing is just a half an inch too far away from the ground, which I will eventually, as we all will, inhabit. So, yeah, bare feet is kind of where it's at right now.
I guess that makes me a loser.
No, happy is not a loser. You're just 1/2 inch further into denial than the rest of us are.
It's better than Crocs.
White flip-flops.
Stop.
So,
Crocs flip-flops.
this next song is a song about violence and the roots of violence. Because the roots of violence are often in our fear and in our insecurity. We are fragile creatures. The simplest things could destroy us forever. A bug bite. I almost died from a bug bite a few years ago. Cancer, as we talked about before. A car hitting you. Slipping on the steps as you're going up or on your way down, and you accidentally break your neck when you thought you were going out for falafel after the show. We are fragile creatures. And in the midst of being fragile, our hearts and our minds feel fragile as well. And when they feel fragile, when we feel fragile, our tendency, based on our culture, is to bolster ourselves up. No, I don't feel fragile, I'm okay. Well, when we do that, and when we are inauthentic with our fear, the next step is that we start to push others down who in fact feel fragile, but who in fact feel the same way we do if we had the courage to just admit that. When we push other people down, this psychological pathway, when we push other people down, this is the roots of violence. We live in a world filled with far too much violence. And let us all take a minute and think about what our responsibility is in that. This song is called Skin and Stone. Transfer The last time that I had the honor of standing on this stage with a microphone in my hand was 14 years ago when Trial played here. And I always remember this show because there was a guy standing, Lane, where you're standing, right up front. And the whole show, every song, he was like this in my face. And I used to be like really fucking crazy serious about like every second of everything, and I thought he was mocking me. And at one point I turned to the promoter sitting over here, and I was like, tell this fucking kid that if he doesn't get the metal horns out of my face, I'm gonna kick him in the fucking mouth. And the promoter says, no, he liked Trial, he sees this on MTV, I was like, fuck, that's even worse. But so it's really amazing to be able to be here, all of us, we all feel it, to be able to be here at a show after so long. So, you know, in new iterations of bands with new people and everything, it's very nice. And you know what, seriously, like, fuck, bring the horns, you know what I mean? Why not? I mean, these are songs that are deadly serious, but I think it was you, Happy, once long ago, who said that the best way probably to describe our band is that we sing deadly serious songs while spending our time making jokes about boners. So, you know, just like, I mean, we have to be laughing in the midst of all this somehow, some way, or else we will literally lose our minds on our path to death, as it were. So, this next song is about the wounds that impact us as a result of what has happened over the course of our lives. Whether we have been lied to and then feel as though we cannot differentiate between truth and lie. Or if we've lost someone and then feel that we cannot tell whether we are alive or dead. Or if someone has betrayed us, or if we have been abused, what have you. And oftentimes when we feel a wound, at least we know in America and in Canada, where we're from, what we do, we put Band-Aids on wounds. There's so many things you can buy to cover a wound. You can stitch it up, put a bandage on top of it, as if by covering it up, it'll just go away and you can forget about it. But when we put bandages on emotional wounds, they do not go away. They get infected, and they fester, and they seep, and they are sore until we finally peel the bandage off, look at the wound, and feel it for all that it is. I wish that I had the courage to go back in time to all the times when I covered up wounds like that. And I wish I could change the past. And I wish I could promise you that you would quickly scar. It's not just that you bleed. It's that there's nothing I can do that destroys me!
awesome. Thank you.
So, the last time Sean was around these parts, 17 years ago, he also was with a different band. And we would like to play a cover song by that band to close off our portion of this evening. And we would like to dedicate it to our friend Milan, who is somewhere around here.
Yeah! Mr. Banana!
Mr. Banana himself. Milan owns a record store, co-owns a record store here at Prague. And he was here 17 years ago when Sean's band played. We'd also like to dedicate it to the people who came from Russia.
Yeah!
Because people came from very far away. But there's a number of people here who hitchhiked from very far away from Russia to be here tonight. We appreciate that very much. They've been on the road a long time. This is a song by a band called Strain, and the song is called Here and Now. So, okay, wait, hold on one second. Let me explain something. That is all the songs we know, and here is why. Well, I mean, because everyone's saying one more song, so that is all the songs we know. Our band has been together for 13 years, and this was our, what number show? 12th show? 12th show. We formed in one a year, but it didn't go down like that. The way it went down is this, is that in case you haven't heard the story, we formed in the year 2000, and when we decided we wanted to do a band called Civ, that you've heard of, had just formed and gotten signed to a label called Lava before their first show. And we thought that was so ridiculous. Like, how could a band get signed before they played even one show? So we talked about it. We're like, we can do better. We are going to get signed to a label before our first practice. So for the first 5 years that we were a band, we only talked about playing music. We refused to practice. And then we wrote a 1-minute song. Not at the same time. We sent each other the parts. Went into the studio at different times. We refused to play at the same time. And Robert from Fuse Records, wherever he might be, heard that song and said, "Hey, can I put out your EP?" And we were like, "Yes, now we can practice." So The point is, it was 5 years after that before we wrote our second song. And we have just played for you all of the songs that we know. We played Damnation Memoria. You were outside. But we don't want to play that one again. But the point is, and I'm going to stop talking and let the next band come up on stage. Gotcha, hold on one second. She's so excited. I mean, she's like, fuck, I hitchhiked from Russia, motherfucker. Play another song. And it's like, sorry. The point is that we have played for you all the songs that we know. We have about 10 or 12 demos for new songs. We're going to go home and write an album and then record an album and then come back to Europe as soon as we possibly can. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.